In this video, I'm going to show you how to generate leads with Facebook ads. In fact, I'm going to provide a step-by-step walkthrough of exactly how you set up a campaign that's designed to generate a lot of leads with Facebook ads very inexpensively. So I'm in an example Facebook ad account here, and I'm in Ads Manager. That's where I'd like you to come. There's nothing in there right now because it's for demonstration purposes. But what I want you to do is go ahead and click on this green plus create button. Now, you'll see that in this example ad account, I have the relatively new ODAX campaign objective menu with these 6 options. You may well have the older version, just about most Facebook ad accounts still do. If you do, I want you to go ahead and select lead generation. For if you've got the ODAX menu like I've got, we're going to go ahead and select leads. It's different ways, different formats to do the exact same thing. You're not missing out on any features or anything like that if you've got the old setup. It's just that Facebook have updated this for some users and not for others. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and select leads and click continue. Then we get taken to the campaign level, which is where we are right now with our new lead or lead generation campaign. Now, there's a bunch of things that you can change here. It's the simplest of the 3 levels of a Facebook ad campaign. First thing is special ad categories. If you operate within a special ad category, if I just click the little drop down, you'll see the options here: credit, employment, housing, social issues, etc. And then you absolutely need to declare that, and that's going to change what you can and can't do later on through the campaign creation process. If you're not sure about special ad categories, then I check out my video on that. You can find that on my channel. It gives more information about what you need to do and whether or not you actually fit into one. Very important. Moving down, I don't want you to change anything in the campaign details section, buying type, etc. We're not going to be using any A/B tests. That's something you can do. It's not something I typically do a lot of ever when I'm creating Facebook ad campaigns. It's not something that we typically use. We do a lot of testing. We just don't often use the A/B testing tool. Then we get down to Advantage Campaign Budget. Now, you might still see this as its previous name, which is Campaign Budget Optimization, and I'd like you to go ahead and turn that on. That means you now need to set a budget. There's 2 different budget options. There's either daily budget or lifetime budget. I'd recommend going with daily budget. I'm not a big fan of setting a campaign for, say, 7 days and letting it run. Facebook just seem to eat the last, say, 15% of your budget. That last day and a half, you don't really seem to get anything for. Don't know why, but I want to avoid that. That's one of the reasons why I use daily budgets. Also want to use daily budgets because that gives us more flexibility and consistency if we want it. We can keep this campaign running for much longer. We can, you have more control, more options for learning to accrue within the one campaign as opposed to it's being spread out over lots of different campaigns. If you've been involved in Facebook advertising for any length of time, you'll realize that learning, machine learning, all that building up within your ad account, within specific campaigns is really important, specifically when we're using a conversion style objective like we are here with our lead or lead generation campaigns. So set a daily budget. I've got videos on budget amounts. If you want to check those out, you can find them on my channel. My usual recommendation for a starting point is to not spend so much that if you lose all of it and don't see anything for it, it's an issue, but that you will care. It's not going to put you in any financial difficulty, but if you lose it and don't get anything back, it's going to annoy you. You don't want it so small that you can just set it and forget about it and you'll check it in 2 months' time and not care. Likewise, you absolutely don't want to spend money to the point where you're going, that's what I pay my staff with, that's what I pay the rent with, whatever. Don't do that. Keep it nice and small. You can always scale up. In terms of campaign bid strategy, we can leave that as is. Facebook Meta have recently updated the options, but I have a video about that you can find as well. And there'll be loads of links to other videos, by the way, in the video description, things like campaign budget optimization, setting budgets and all that sort of stuff. What I want you to do now is jump over to the ad set level. So at the ad set level, what you see here may be slightly different depending on which campaign objective menu you use. But interesting, we've got the new ODAX campaign menu in this example ad account. We've selected leads and you can see the default is instant form. So generate leads by asking people to fill out a form. If you select the lead generation objective using the old campaign objective menu, the default is obviously going to be instant forms. That's what that campaign objective is all about. But it is interesting that there's always been this debate for many years. Should you generate leads via your website or should you generate leads within Facebook and Instagram via an instant form, what used to be called a lead form? There's been many different names for this type of campaign: lead ads, lead generation campaigns. Now it seems the new setup is just going to be, it's a lead campaign that uses an instant form, or a lead instant form campaign. And it's interesting that Meta are now pushing that more than they are the send people to your website. We know obviously that if we generate leads via instant forms within Facebook and Instagram, people aren't leaving the app. Therefore, we don't run into the same tracking issues that you might get with after the iOS 14 changes that you might get sending people to your website, particularly if they're on iOS devices. So it's certainly a good way to go, this setup. It definitely produces the lowest cost per lead. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more later on, some of the pros and cons of this setup, but well worth a test if you are at all wanting to generate leads via Facebook ads for your business. Okay, so we're going to leave that as instant forms. I'm going to scroll down, obviously make sure you've got the right Facebook page selected. We're not going to use anything dynamic creative wise, and we're not going to use a catalog either. What I want you to do is come down to this audience section. I should just quickly mention, of course, you can set a schedule, different date from now is when it could be started. You can set an end date. I typically don't do that. I don't recommend that because I like the idea that either myself or one of my account managers is in the ad account frequently enough that we're really on top of things. We know what's going on. If we want to turn a campaign off because results have dropped or make adjustments, we can just do it there and then. We're not setting an end date. Obviously, if you're after more of a set it and forget it type setup, you may want to go ahead and add that in. Now, I've got lots of tutorials on targeting. You can find those on my channel. So I'm not going to go through all the various different targeting options that you could use here. We're just going to come up with a simple example. Let's assume, for example, that I was advertising my business, a Facebook and Instagram advertising agency. We're looking to generate leads for our Facebook and Instagram ad services, how we might set, and let's assume we're doing so in the UK. Well, the age of 18 to 65 that's going to be on the lower end. Our customers are typically going to start at around 30, sometimes a little bit longer, but typically around 30. They can go all the way up. All genders absolutely fine. And then we're going to add in a detailed targeting option, something fairly simple like digital marketing maybe. We could use social media marketing, lots of different options that we could potentially use. As I said, if you want more information around targeting options, whether it comes to custom audiences and lookalike audiences up here, or more info on this detailed targeting section, that is absolutely fine. You can find that stuff on my channel. For now though, we're going to scroll down, we're going to leave all languages as is, and we're not going to mess around with the more options. When it gets to placements, I would recommend that you go with Advantage Plus placements, which is also what Meta are recommending. Again, this is a fairly new name change. Advantage Plus, this is what used to be called automatic placements. I think it's part of Meta's push to convince people to use automatic placements. And provided you are using a conversion-based objective, a conversion-based optimization, which leads or lead generation absolutely is, it's fine to go with Advantage Plus placements. That allows Meta to work out where to put your ads across Facebook and Instagram to get you the best possible results. If you are running with a traffic objective or optimization or something like that, you would want to go with manual placements and be more selective and just go with the Facebook and Instagram feeds and stories, usually something along those lines. And that's because you can get very cheap clicks, for example, on the audience network, but that's not very good quality traffic. However, when we're optimizing for leads, instant form submissions like we are here, only the placements that generate instant form submissions, generate leads, are going to be used. And that may be adjusted as our campaign runs and data is accrued within the campaign. So it's absolutely fine to go with this option. If you really feel strongly that you don't want your ads to appear in certain locations across Facebook and Instagram, it's 19 in total, then you can do that. That's fine. It's not the end of the world. But for most businesses, I'd go with the Advantage Plus, what used to be called automatic. Optimization for ad delivery is certainly leads. If I click edit and we take a look at the menu, we've only got leads or conversion leads with the lead campaign objective menu. You may have a few other different options if you're using the old setup and lead generation is the campaign objective that you used. I would go with leads. If anything comes up, and it will vary between ad accounts, if anything comes up like landing page views, etc., don't go with those. A lot of Facebook reps are actually recommending that people run traffic campaigns or they optimize for landing page views from within a conversions campaign or something like that. That's not a good idea. Facebook is very, very good at getting you what you want. If you say, I want landing page views, they will find the people that will click on your ad, load the landing page, and then leave. How exactly they do it is, I know to some extent, but it's still shocking as to how accurate it is. You get what you ask for. If you want leads, optimize for leads. That's very, very important. Then we're not going to do anything at the show more options. What I want to do now is jump over to the ad level. Okay, so at the ad level, let's go ahead and make sure obviously you've got the right Facebook page, right Instagram account selected, and we're going to go ahead and create an ad. If you're just getting started with Facebook ads, I'd recommend going with something really simple like a single image ad. I've got lots of videos around different ad creative, things like video content, using multiple images, turning them into slideshows, using carousels. You can find all that stuff on my channel. If you're just getting started, let's go with a single image ad. You come down to this ad creative section and you simply want to go ahead and click add media and then either obviously add image or video. For now, we're going to go ahead and add image. Now, what I'm going to do here before I do this is just change up the example. I want to give a few different examples as we go through this campaign creation process, because different people going through this video will have different businesses, different setups. What we're going to do now is take a shutter company, so a company that installs shutters. So obviously the image and text and all that sort of stuff is now going to look quite different. So if we click on add media and add image, and I've just grabbed an example image that is an example of what this company can do, the sort of stuff that they can do for their prospects, and these sorts of shutters. And obviously if you're advertising for a portfolio-based company, which a lot of the companies that are looking to generate leads via Facebook and Instagram ads are, where you can demonstrate the work that you do, the product that you create, etc. Portfolio style images obviously work really well. So once you've selected your image, you may need to upload it. I didn't show that on the previous screen, but it's pretty self-explanatory. You then need to make sure that your image is going to look good in various different placement options. So here we've got the original, which is what's been recommended. You will always get a recommended option. And what you can do is you can see, okay, well, maybe this image therefore isn't going to work quite as well in the stories placement because we are wasting space up top and down below. So you can just click replace and obviously put in a different image that has better aspect ratios and is going to work better. And this sort of third option where ads are going to appear, search results, instant articles, etc., far less impressions come through those placement options. Your ads are far more likely to be seen in the feeds or in stories and associated placements. So I wouldn't worry about this one too much, but again, you can customize your creative to make it look good. I've just grabbed an image for demonstration purposes. Okay, then what you want to go ahead and once you've worked that out, either crop them differently or replaced for the various categories, you want to go ahead and click done. So we've added in our image and we're starting to see a bit of a preview over on the right hand side. If I scroll down, we've obviously got primary text to add in, headline, and a few other things. Let's start with the headline. Businesses that are advertising using lead generation ads, instant forms are often ones that are going to be offering something like a free consultation, free call, free quote, free survey, something that's really easy for your prospects to go ahead and say yes to sign up for. And then obviously you want to progress them onto customers from there. Those sorts of offers tend to work really well with generating leads on Facebook. So with a company like this, for example, we could have book your free shutter survey today. I don't know exactly how the sales funnel works for a shutter company, but if I imagine someone from the company has to go around to people's properties and assess whether their windows and walls and whatever are suitable for shutters and which ones would work best and all that sort of stuff. Okay, you could have free consultation. For my business, for example, going back to that example, as a Facebook ads agency, we offer free strategy sessions where we can talk through with a prospect and say, look, we think your Facebook ad campaigns would work well this way. We've worked with businesses like yours before, etc., etc. So lots of different options here. Something like that is a good title option. Then the primary text, we just obviously want to help sell what's being offered here. So you could have something like, ever thought about getting shutters, a bit of a call out method. They let in the light whilst, I don't know, ... The sort of thing I'm talking about. Again, this tutorial is not meant to be a ad copy writing tutorial. This is more about getting the leads, creating the lead campaigns. So I'm going to sort of skip past the rest of that, but you'd want to add in normally 3 or 4 lines that really help sell the service or the thing that you're selling. Description is optional. That's going to display in some instances beneath the headline. You could just re-emphasize the action you want people to take. So you could have something like, click here to book your free shutter survey. Something really simple like that. And then of course the call to action. Here you just want to go with the option that is the most accurate, that's most representative of the action you want people to take. So we've got sign up as the default. That's not bad for this option. We could have something like get quote. There's not anywhere near as many options once you're just using the lead campaign objective. Book now maybe would be an option. Those are probably the best ones here. I'm happy to go with sign up. Then we get down to the instant form section. And this is where this type of campaign and this strategy is very different to other ways of generating leads using Facebook and Instagram ads. As I said, instead of someone clicking on your ad, coming through to your website and inquiring there, they are instead going to be presented with an instant form that's going to keep them in app within Facebook, within Instagram. That makes it much easier for people to sign up. They don't have to go anywhere else, load up a page. If they've got bad signal, whatever, that might take a while, etc., etc. And of course, we have the added benefits of being able to track people really, really well. So you want to go ahead and click create form. And then there's a number of different settings and things like that that we need to go through, that we need to adjust and add information in order to get this working well and looking right. So as we go through this, we can see that we've got a preview on the right hand side, which is fantastic and makes this all really helpful. First thing obviously is I would give it a name. I wouldn't leave it as untitled form. So we could call this, for example, shutter survey form, something really simple like that. Next thing we need to decide is the form type. So what are you after here? Do you want as many leads as you can possibly get? Or are you finding that you or your sales team is reaching out to leads and they're not as high quality as you want them to be, so you'd rather filter out some of the people that are less interested, less engaged? If we go with more volume, that's the default, that's what it's going to look like. If we click on higher intent, you can see that we just added in a review screen. I would recommend that most people go with more volume, at least to begin with. If you find, like I mentioned, the quality's not good enough, then you can go ahead and click on higher intent, and you'll just see, if I quickly show you, the review gives people a chance to look over their info before they submit it. It's basically like a little something that says, are you sure you want to give this information? And those people that are actually like, actually I'm not that interested, often will click off then and they'll leave. But as I said, I'd recommend that most people go with more volume and we get rid of the review screen. Then we go ahead and take a look at the intro. So the background image, and the default is the image from your ad. You can see that that's the image we use in the ad of the shutters, and that's going to appear behind there. You can, of course, use different images, and because of the layout, you can use a different image aspect ratio. So you can see the recommended size is 1200 by 628 pixels, which, it's fine. It's also fine, absolutely, to go with the image from your ad. And often we find that this performs best, going for an image from an ad, because there's that continuity when people click on the image, on the ad itself. If they feel like they're in the right place, they're more likely to stick around. The worst thing you want whenever you're doing any digital marketing is if someone clicks on an ad and comes through to something that looks completely different from where they just were, and they're there like, hang on, is this even right? Did I click on the right link? That's an issue. So using the ad from your image is absolutely fine. Then we've got a greeting option, which is, as you can see, recommended. And it says here, let people know why they should complete your form and any relevant details. So here, just because they've clicked on your ad does not mean they're going to go ahead and fill out the form information, particularly if you're asking for quite a lot of information. We need to sell why they need to do that. So if we've got a headline here, we could say something like, sign up for your free shutter survey. Just something that, once again, like I mentioned with the image, affirms the action they've already started taking and shows them they're in the right place and this is what this is all about. We could include additional details in here if we want to. So we could have information like, enter your info and one of our team members will be in touch shortly to arrange your survey. Something very simple like that. This is not needs to be something that's overly complicated. You can change the paragraph to a list if you've got like bullet points. It really depends on what you're offering. It doesn't work as well for this sort of example. Now, of course, you can remove the greeting. And again, it's a similar discussion around which form type you want to use. If you have a greeting in place, you're probably going to have slightly lower volume, slightly more expensive leads, but the quality might be better. Whether you want to do that or not really depends on what you're seeing and what's a priority for your business. How expensive is your product or service relatively? Is it high end, in which case you really want to filter out the lower quality leads? You can do that or not, it's up to you. But let's assume we do leave one in. I've already written it out, and let's move on to the questions. So we can see here that from the intro, people click on next in the preview, and then when they do that, they come through to the questions. Okay, so now we can add in the information that we require as a business in order to be able to properly follow up with them, or maybe even assess whether or not they're a good prospect. Because this is the first stage of your sales process, I would usually recommend that what you ask for is only what you need. I'm sure there's lots of information you might need. If we're using the shutter example, they're going to need things like your address, your postcode, when you're free in the day to book an appointment in, there's all sorts of things that you might need. Maybe the age of your property, for example. Don't get that at this point. Get that information once you've gone a step further and you're talking to these people over the phone, or perhaps you're communicating via email when you follow up after they become a lead. At the beginning, I think it's best to go with only what you need. Now, the default entered in is email and full name. One other thing though, I would absolutely recommend just about everyone looking to generate leads via Facebook, particularly if it's for a service, you're not just providing a lead magnet, for example, that you add in is a contact field and a phone number. I think a phone number is really, really important. What you'll find is that if you just ask for email and name and then you try and follow up with these people via email, it's very, very likely that the vast majority of people will ignore it. Your emails may well hit spam filters. We know that's a big issue for tons of businesses. If you've got a phone number from your prospect and you can go ahead and give these people a call straight away, that's really going to help you progress them to the next stage. Sometimes it's not straight away. I understand there's limitations around that. Sometimes it might be later that day or the next morning. The faster the better, for sure. A lot of people will say to me things like, we're just not getting in touch with our prospects that are generated via Facebook. We're really struggling. Are they just poor quality? And I'll say, okay, well, how quickly are you following up with those leads when they come in? And you hear someone say, well, we follow up with the leads every Tuesday and every Friday. You think, okay, so someone could become a lead Tuesday evening and they've got to wait almost 3 days before they receive a call. That's not a good look. That's part of your issue. So whether it's someone's on top of this and they're calling them straight away, or perhaps it's checked 3 times a day and there's batches done, first thing from anyone that came in last evening and during the morning, and then maybe around lunchtime, and then maybe just before the end of the workday, something like that is really, really important. Another thing to be aware of is that Meta will autofill a lot of this information if it can. So obviously people have email addresses and names associated with their Facebook account, their Facebook profile or their Instagram account, and whether they're opening up this lead form on one of those, that information will be automatically put in there. And one thing that we are seeing, and this is becoming more and more of an issue the longer that Facebook and Instagram exist, is that people's emails are often outdated. Many people have got Facebook accounts they signed up for over a decade ago. Is that email still in use? Maybe, maybe not. So just be aware that the phone number is far more likely to be current. People don't really change phone numbers anywhere near as much as they do email addresses, and it's just a much better way to reach people. And you also don't want a scenario where you're contacting your prospects and they go, what was this? And they can't remember that they've signed up and became a lead. You want to get them quickly and via the phone and be like, oh yeah, it was this shutter business. You said you're interested in shutters. We could book that free survey. And they go, oh yeah, I remember. You can have a bit more of a conversation and explain a little bit more. Up here, you can provide some more information and description. So you could just reiterate something like, enter your info below and we'll be in touch within 24 hours. Something like that. Don't have to overthink this. It's not super complicated. But yeah, if we have a look at some of the other pieces of information that you might want to include, there's all sorts, and you can really have a look and go through this. For example, a business like this, Shutters, the address, what city you're in might be really, really important. You might be like, we're generating lots of leads from people that aren't within our target area. Now, of course, you can adjust that and affect things along those lines at the targeting level within your Facebook ad account, but perhaps you would rather filter them out at this stage if you're getting lots come through even with that in place. Obviously, we've got user information, we've got the full name in there already. Demographic questions, you could ask this stuff if that's important. Again, I would strongly recommend you don't if you don't need it. Work information, for some businesses, that's going to be a lot more important than others. Again, not something I would typically recommend adding in. And then national ID number, that's going to completely depend on where you are and whether or not that applies. For most businesses, it's not going to. So I'd say the majority of you watching this are going to want to go with an email, full name, phone number type setup. And of course, if you wanted to, you can change the order, etc., etc. Okay. Then we get on to the privacy. Now, because you are getting people's information from their Facebook, Instagram accounts, or whatever they enter in manually themselves within your instant form, there has to be a source, a place where those people can go and see, how is this company going to use my personal information? A privacy policy. So can you run Facebook ads without a website? Yes, you can use lead campaigns or lead generation campaigns and a few different other campaign types. Can you generate leads with Facebook using this strategy without a privacy policy? No. You don't need to have a full website. You could just literally have a privacy policy page up, but you do need to provide, you'll see here, because you'll be collecting customer information, you will need to include a link to your company's privacy policy, your link will appear with Facebook's default privacy disclaimer. When I've done older videos about instant forms and lead generation videos, it's one of the most common questions I get is, do I actually need a privacy policy? Can I get around this? Yes. No, you cannot get around this. Yes, you do need a privacy policy. As I said, if you don't have a website, that's the obvious place to put it, right? On your website, and there you go. If you don't have a website, there's other ways you can find a way. You could have a little website that is just for a privacy policy. You could host it somewhere that you can provide a link just so that people can check it out, okay? But you do need that. And then obviously you need to pop in the link in here. So for example, if I just do this so that it allows us to continue, the Lead Guru privacy policy. Oh, and you can see actually there, look, your privacy policy can't go directly to a PDF file, JPEG, image, or download, okay? So I said you can host it somewhere, even if you don't have a proper website, and have it up publicly available, but you can't have one of those. And then link text. So this could be, for example, we could go with my company name, like Lead Guru's privacy, if I can spell correctly, privacy policy. We go with Ben Heath's privacy policy. You could leave that as the default, and you can see this is how it's going to look, these little bits of information, and this is displayed after they've entered in their information, the question stage, etc., etc. Now, some businesses will need to use this custom disclaimer option. There are lots of businesses, often ones that operate within special ad categories, where you need to say things like, we won't do this, we won't do that. You'll know that if you operate within one of those industries. Not all have it. So you can always add in a custom disclaimer if you want. Then we get down to the completion stage. So that's after someone's clicked submit, they've sent their information, they've become a lead, and then you want to confirm that that's taken place, and also set these people up to expect what's about to happen. So the default is thanks, you're all set. That's fine for most people. That's going to be absolutely fine. Description, you can visit our website or exit the form now. That's not as good. I would typically have something here like, we'll be in touch shortly to book your free shutter survey. And you might even say something like, please keep your phone to hand, or something like that. Please keep an eye on your phone. We've used a few different options along those lines, just so they expect, yeah, we are actually going to call you, so be aware that that's going to happen. Then beneath this section here, where we're confirming, there is an option for people to go on and do something else. So the default is view website. Here you put in a link to your website, so we could pop in our website link there, and people can click on that and come through to the site. Depending on what it is you are advertising with your lead campaign, that may or may not be appropriate. Perhaps it'd be useful for those people to go through to your website and check out more information. That might help you convert when you do get in front of those people. But there are some other options. You could call business, which is obviously self-explanatory. You could also download if you're using this campaign structure for more of a lead magnet type strategy. And then of course you can change the text. You could have something like, instead of your website, you could be like, check out our portfolio, which might work really well if you are a shutter company, one of the examples that we've been using and going through. Then we want to go ahead and click publish. And you can see that it says here, your form has been added, and that's all set with the instant form. So once someone clicks on the ad, they will be presented with the instant form, either within Facebook or Instagram, wherever they saw the ad. They can submit their information, and then you can go ahead and get in touch with those people, something that's, as I've already mentioned, important that you do pretty quickly. Okay, so before I mention a couple of other things, I just want to quickly mention my company, Lead Guru, our Facebook and Instagram advertising services. If you're interested in finding more about that, you can click on a link in the video description below. That'll take you to a page on our website where you can book a call, a free strategy session, like the example we've been going through, how our service works, if we've worked with a business like yours before, how we might be able to help, find out about our fees, all that sort of stuff. We'd love to speak with you and hopefully get to work with you as well. Now, once you've got your very basic version of your lead campaign set up, like we have here, where we've only got the one campaign, one ad set, one ad, you then want to go through and populate other elements of this campaign. So I'd strongly recommend that you add in other ad sets to test different targeting options, and that you add in other ads to test things like different images, perhaps different headlines. That's a really important part of getting the best possible results with your Facebook and Instagram campaigns, is testing, working out what works for your market, for your offers, and you do that by creating multiple elements. One really easy way to do that is to say, go to the ad set level, we would take this new ad set, we would click duplicate, we would duplicate it into the original campaign. If I go ahead and click duplicate, and we can see we've now got new ad set, new leads ad set, new leads ad set copy. We'd name these. So for example, if we go back to the previous one where I talked about my company advertising our Facebook ad services, we could have one ad set that was, say, digital marketing UK 30 to 65, something like that. Pop a comma in there to make sense. And then we could have, say, a different one that was social media marketing UK 30 to 65, and then so on and so forth. Wouldn't recommend you go with more than 5 live ad sets in any one campaign, and then ads within ad sets, maybe 3 or 4 ads in each ad set. Now it could be the same 3 or 4 ads across all the ad sets. You don't need, for example, what would that be, almost 20 different ads, but that allows a lot of testing, right? It allows us to test, okay, what performs better, the digital marketing targeting option or the social media marketing targeting option? We can find out which ad performs better, this image, that image, this video, etc., etc. Once you've got your campaign up and running, you can always make adjustments. You can always add in and put in some more complex elements like different ad formats, etc., etc. Another thing I want to mention that's really, really important is what to expect with a lead campaign or a lead generation campaign, depending on which campaign objective menu you have. When you use a leads campaign, like we've got here, you can expect a very high volume of leads, relatively inexpensive leads. Depending on what you offer, there's a big range, but even for a service business like the Shutter example, we could see leads generated for less than $10 easily, sometimes a good chunk less than that. So very inexpensive given the potential average customer value, which is great, but sometimes the quality isn't as good as sending people to your website, which is the alternative option. Which one should you go with? Almost any business that can either generate leads via their website or can use the lead instant form or the lead generation campaign option should test both. It's very easy, particularly if you've been running lead conversion campaigns sending people to your website. It's very, very easy to test this option. Just replicate whatever you've got, use an instant form. We've just been through it. It takes 10 minutes to create one, and then off you go. But just be aware that that is the trade-off. I think a couple of years ago, pre-iOS 14, I'd be more leaning towards the conversions via your the leads via your website option. Now, I'm much more in favor of the leads on Facebook and Instagram. I think that the added tracking functionality is so important. And you definitely want to give this a go. And once you've got your lead campaign up and running and you're generating leads with Facebook ads, you absolutely want to be making sure that you're retargeting the people that do become leads to help them become customers. And you can also retarget the people that clicked on your ad, opened your lead form, but didn't submit the first time round. You want to put your ads in front of those people again to make sure that they do take that action. I show you exactly how to do that, exactly how to retarget the best way in this video here. It's not very long. It's very, very useful, very important to help you get the best results possible. Strongly recommend you check it out.